Hey everybody, it's Natalina and we're back in the teaching kitchen today with a short little quick video on Garden Focaccia and how exactly I decorate mine. Get a lot of questions about how I decorate my focaccia, so here I thought I'd show you. So this is a double batch of a focaccia recipe that's both in my cookbook and in the private Facebook group, Pizza and Bread for Dummies. This is the second rise. I spread a little bit of olive oil on it and had it rise in the pan, and now it's ready to go. I've been making focaccia for years. It's one of my favorite things to do. And of course, the garden focaccia trend has only been around for about the last year or so. So typically, I stick with Italian ingredients that I would use anyways. So for me, flavor is first, how it looks is next. So here we go. So basically, I have a little bit of olive oil on here. I'm just going to leave that on for now, and I'm going to sprinkle it with some sea salt. I've got some freshly ground pink Himalayan, but it could be just regular sea salt. So this is a pretty classic thing to do, a very generous sprinkle of sea salt. So that is a given. And of course, that's just a classic focaccia right there with olive oil and sea salt. But we're going to add some beautiful, yummy herbs and some other lovely toppings as well. And we're going to make it pretty too. So there we go. There's our sea salt. Okay, the first step I do is, and I should mention that this is in a horizontal pan. I like it to be set this way so that it could be like a landscape picture when we're complete. Okay, so I start with the biggest items first. So I like to use cherry or grape tomatoes. Okay, and we're going to put these in, and we're going to put them at different heights because these are going to be like our flowers in our little garden here. So I'll do them at different heights, and then we'll be adding our stems. So you don't want them one on top of each other because we're going to have stems going to them. Okay, so there we go. I like to scatter them across just in a pleasing manner, and keep in mind that you want to be able to attach a stem. Okay, so that's pretty good. And the tomatoes are beautiful when they cook down and caramelize a little bit. Okay, so that's something I would use on my focaccia anyway, so I'm going to use it in my garden focaccia. The next thing I have is olives. So these are calamatas. They have the pit in them, and that is the traditional Italian way of putting olives on focaccia. They leave the pit in them, so you have to remind your guests so they don't break a tooth. Okay, so same thing. Those are going to have a nice little stem on them, so place them somewhere where you can access them to place a stem. There we go. Okay, next I've got some red onions, and I've cut these with a little bit of the core there to kind of hold them together. Okay, and then you can even open these up a little bit if you like. Okay, so we'll put fewer of these. Now these will also cook down and caramelize beautifully. So we're getting kind of full up here. Let's put one there. And again, you just want to do something that's pleasing to the eye. It doesn't look like much right now, but once it's finished and cooked down, it'll look amazing. They will naturally kind of open as they cook as well. So I'm thinking maybe I'll put one more. Where am I going to put it? Maybe I'll just tuck it in here. No, that's too close. Let's go a little bit higher there. Okay, maybe I'll put one more. So you kind of decide as you go. You don't plan this out. You just go along and do what feels right. So I think I'm going to put this one here. But I might have to move this tomato so that I can put my stem to come down. And so that's what I was talking about earlier. So let's move this tomato to, say, here. And that's the beauty of this. Once they're down, you can move them because it's just dough. All right, so now we've got our large items down. Now we're going to create a stem. Okay, so you could use a number of things. I really like to use chives. So I just picked these from my garden, washed them, took away any brown bits. And now these are basically our stems. So what you want to do is you want to have them lead to one of the larger items that you just place down. Okay, and you may have to cut these. So that one's a little bit big. Let's have that one go to this tomato right here. So you see what I'm after. You want these to look like little stems. And don't worry, they don't have to be perfect because remember they're going to cook down and they're going to shrivel up a little bit. It's all good. So what I like to do is I like to add a stem to each of the major items on here first. And then I'll fill it in with what I call grass. Okay, and you could use either herbs or you could use some shorter chives. Okay, so you're getting the idea now. So these are all just kind of leading up to each of the bigger items. Okay, so you'll continue to do that until they're all done. I can take this little short piece now and then you reuse it right there. Okay, so continue to do that until it's all complete. Okay, there you go. We've got pretty much every one of our major items on the focaccia hooked up to a stem. So now we're going to make a little bit of grass. So what I do is I'll break off the chives and then just start doing some long grass. And you just want to do it pleasing to the eye. And so continue to make, so this is not rocket science, this is pretty easy. Just pleasing to the eye, some longer, some shorter. I'm going to basically just use up all my chives that I just picked. I like the chives because they're like a mild onion flavor. The red onions will caramelize and be a little bit more dominant onion flavor, but the chives are really mild and they're kind of nice. Also, while you're doing this, think about your guests and what they might like. I have a few of my kids that don't like a lot of this stuff, so they'll stick with the sky. Okay, so up there I might just drizzle a little bit of olive oil and just gently place some fresh herbs up there. So I've got some thyme and some rosemary that I'm going to add on here as well. And like I said, I kind of stick to traditional focaccia toppings. So for me, it's about flavor first and how it looks second. Okay, because you'll see some people put all kinds of things on there just to decorate, carrots, peppers, etc. Well, Italians don't typically put carrots or peppers on a focaccia, so I stay away from that. I would rather decorate with items that are pleasing to my palate on focaccia. Okay, so that's just my personal opinion. Not everyone might agree, but as a professional cook, it's all about flavor first for me, and then about how it looks. It's got to be pleasing to the eye, of course, but it's also got to taste really good, right? Okay, so I think I've got one more chive here that I'm going to use. And I know it's not looking like much yet, but we're not done yet. So there we go. Okay, so next I've got some fresh rosemary from my garden, and I'm going to add that to my grass. Okay, we'll continue to add rosemary as you like. You can have it in the grass, or you could add some up high as well as you wish. I have one more herb today, and that is thyme. So thyme is going to be a lot tinier. So I think I'm going to put that up at the top for my people that don't like a lot of toppings. So you can see they're much tinier. And I'm just going against the grain there to remove these from the stem. Of course, you could leave those on the stem. Same with the rosemary. Like you could do little trees with the rosemary. You got to use your imagination, right? Could be something flying through the sky. Maybe you could make like a butterfly or something. So that's the thing. You got to use your imagination. You want it to look beautiful, but you also want it to taste beautiful. Okay, and now everything on here, we're going to give it a little brush of olive oil so it doesn't burn. That's very important, especially if you're cooking it in a wood-fired oven, like I do sometimes. But even if you do cook it in a regular oven at high heat, about 450, which is what I bake mine at, there is the potential for the herbs to burn. And they're not going to taste as nice if they burn. So how you prevent that is by brushing some extra virgin olive oil on there. So that'll also contribute to the flavor. So it's looking good, right? So we're just going to finish up here, and I'll be sure to post a finished item all baked up and beautiful. And I want to see your masterpieces in the comments. Okay, so there you have it. Our garden focaccia is ready. Actually, other than just a little brushing of olive oil, which I said I would do. So let me do that real quick. So I've got my carafe. I'm just gonna drizzle. Oops. Move the camera. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with a brush. And you wanna make sure that, so you wanna get some on your tomatoes, on your olives, on your onions. There's a little bit accumulated there. So just kind of make sure everything has a nice little layer of olive oil, and if stuff moves around, no worries, it's all good. So you can see it's got that beautiful sheen on it. The olive oil will also give it a nice color, and I'm hitting the camera. Sorry about that. I'm in my zone here. I forget that I've got a camera hooked up above me here. So there you have it. Natalina's Garden Focaccia. And remember to tap on the tomato to subscribe so you don't miss a thing, because we are now officially a YouTube partner. So that means we're going to have regular content. I'm just in the middle of moving to my new kitchen, which I'm really excited about. So I'll get all settled in, and then we'll be posting brand new content every single week. Ciao for now.